Listening to the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.
All right, I don't know if that worked well or not. Buckle up. Rough roads ahead. Trying to get something to work here. All right, there's traffic, there's wind. I turned the low pass filter on the best I could. Or the high pass filter, should I say, which means the low frequencies don't pass through. Have my broadcast belt on. I'm carrying my cross that I mount my phone to. Beautiful day here in Nexa, Kansas. Godforsaken Southwest, owned by narcotics distributors. They're trying to get in up here, but there's a battle going on. And again, you might see it as Republicans and Democrats fighting to control territory. It's in all segments of society, so it isn't a Republican over a Democrat or a Democrat over a Republican. And what they're doing is they're trying to take over an organized crime presence within those communities under the color of law, under the color of politics, whatever it is that they're doing. Now, color of law is a funny thing because you don't have to be a law enforcement officer to be charged with violating somebody's rights or suppressing their rights under that color of law. There's many people in government that can be charged with that. They haven't, but could be. A politician could be charged with that. And it's not to be down on government, but government's down on everyone else, and we need to back them away so everybody can live life the way it was planned by God, but also planned by the founding fathers and mothers. And I throw the mothers in there because the founding fathers, majority of them wouldn't be anything without the founding mothers. And when we go to somebody like Jefferson, and a lot of founding mothers, and unfortunately they weren't free to go where they wanted to. So it is what it is. And isn't what it isn't. They got these wood things they're building here. I have no idea. It looks like a walkway. I have no idea what they're doing. They ripped up some of the like adobe type of siding or plaster siding, whatever that is. Stucco, I guess they call it. And they put wood in at the edges to form that edge, or to reform that edge under the handrail. But then they built these sections. It looks like walkway. Maybe they're going to pour something, and when they pour it, they put that down. I don't know. It just looks strange. I haven't been up on the second floor to really look at it. So again, the concept is this. There is witchcraft. There is physical world. There is psychological world. God and I figured the best way to do it is to break it down into three. We can go deeper. We can make it like 70 layers of what it really is. And God says, I can put it to 1,000,000 layers of what it is. However, 3, make it simple, stupid, for a simple, stupid planet. There's the psychological, there's the physical, and there's metaphysical, which is the spiritual, which is the spiritual, which is the spiritual. Let's see. So, but that tells me a condition that's going on right now, which is controlling the spiritual. If you wonder what happened, like I just stepped in a puddle and almost cranked my ankle. Which is the spiritual. So, which is in heaven is said. Again, that's funny because you know what does that verify? The battle in heaven. That's what happened, which was in heaven. And which is male, which is female, which is so again that's that could be a cue that says devil, but in English it works that way. It might be if I went to and I was in India or in Bangladesh or in China, there would be other cues, and it may not say which. It may say devil is in heaven. So again, English was constructed after Scripture was written. So what do you think God was? God's a code head. God had drafted the Bible a certain way. Satan switched it up, and God brought about English in a certain way to decode the Bible. So there's a lot of terms, and then King James English also decodes it a certain way. But at this point, God, He sent the cue yesterday. We can't sit here in King James while Satan's, it limits us. It's like sitting there when you're fighting a battle and you're only going to use small arms fire or something. And I hate to say that because, it's all taking on a negative connotation because of all the shootings. But that's kind of it. When we use the other versions, and again, the only way to do anything with any of it is with God. You can't read that Bible without God. You can't do it. You've never done it unless you've read it with Satan, and of course that's what we see happening in a lot of these churches. So again, what they're doing, I brought this up before, is undoing the work of Rabbi Yeshua. People say it different ways. And that there's something in that. God uses that. Because if you are a big, and in your society you say Yeshua, and somebody else says Yeshua, Satan will say, well, we own Yeshua on this planet because those people that are the bosses of the society of Yeshua have sold it. God says, but no, they say Yeshua. You don't own that. So again, that's one of the keys to the names of God. God keeps freeing his name, and then every once in a while he'll resurge a name, she'll resurge a name, and then God is what some people will call a he-she. It's real. Because there's a progression on the planet. If you read and you go, oh, he used the word progression. Progressive. Get it? No. They're doing that to everyone, and that's one of the topics I want to bring up today. The republic, the democracy. That's why I said the democratic republic, to help them understand. Don't get caught completely into those trappings. Because if you use the word democracy all the time, Republicans hate it because they've been triggered to use the word republic. Now, we're going to go through something that's being used right now. Republicans are, well, Democrats are this, Democrats are that. Well, back then, you and your buddy Trump would have been a Democrat because you would want to harm people of color. So the idea is, back in the day, what we're having in issues with the Republican Party since probably at least 10 years is they are becoming what the Democratic Party was during the Civil War. But again, how many times has the Bible told you that Israel was evil, Israel was good, Israel is unforgiven, Israel will be forgiven, Israel won't be forgiven? How many times? So again, God's teaching you something. What is that? To freely think. And when you freely think, that's when you'll find God. Because otherwise you're worshiping Satan with these other churches and temples and synagogues and everything else, Gurdwara, mosque. Don't want to leave anyone out because they'll accuse me of something else because I left two organizations out that are big religion, but very small minds. So The idea is Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. There's no doubt about that. And he said Republic. So again, we have this issue of manipulating. What did I call it without even knowing Malcolm X called it, but Malcolm X also called it? Propaganda, psychological warfare. It's being conducted against everyone all day long. And some people say, well, that psychological warfare made me rich. You're just mad because you're poor. Not really. But you do owe me a lot of money, probably $1 trillion. If you have Musk as rich as he is, then you owe me at least $1 trillion. There's no doubt. Because there's a real system they try to portray, but it's false. Hardworking Americans, I'm probably the hardest working American in the United States today. It's easy to do what they do when they have all that money. Believe you me. And they really don't do that much. We're so far behind, it's not even funny. We're regressing at this point because of the hate. It causes regression. Because you would rather not discover a cure. You would rather not discover some electronic device that would help us. Why? Because it would be a person of color. It would be a Jewish person. It would be a person that you hate, even if there's no descriptor that you can come down to speak about. In fact, though, you would spend your whole life changing that person into some descriptor, or at least looking like that descriptor. So those white flowers are out, and now they're blowing in the wind. It's one of those windy days. So theoretically, on windy days, it increases the allergens. I'm on one allergy, basic springtime allergy medicine. No problem. I don't even need a steroid or anything like that. So again, they were doing what I said they were doing. Those times of good health were times in my life, were the times they couldn't get in and surreptitiously drug and or use direct energy. Because in Naples, it must have been something on the other side of that wall where I laid my bed. And of course, that was a rental unit. And theoretically, they were in there. They tried to fear me of it, and I just let it go, but I didn't realize it, or I would have put my bed on the other side of the other wall in my room. Like I told you, when you go to a hotel and you're a federal agent or something like that, do not sleep where you normally put your head. It would be a low-power device that could not be detected outside the building, and you could be direct energied all night. All it takes is one sold-out person in a hotel, or even in a security in the hotel chain. Well, person coming in, we got questions. Put them in that room. Nobody at the counter is going to say anything. Now, they won't do that as freely as they want to do it, and that's one of their works, is freeing up evil, freeing up hate, so that people accept it. Freeing the murder of whoever they want to murder. Their father's the devil. Been so since the beginning, even though if they look, well, I remember this. No, it's all fake. It's all to get Satan forward, to get their evil forward. They actually cause sex crimes and crimes against children so that they can make that their big motto, that big mantra. We're protecting the children, when in fact they're making it additionally dangerous for the children, and it's in evidence all the way across this nation, and they know it. So again, if you're out there responding to a 911 call, great, it's commendable service. But if you are creating crime using that psychology, whether you're willfully ignorant of it or not, willfully ignorant is no excuse. Then it's for naught. It's just not commendable at that point. It's a cover story. In fact, it's an additional act of the criminal enterprise. taking over the 911 call system, where you're the only one that gets to respond. So everybody has to worship you and allow you to cause crime, cause failure, cause bankruptcy, cause disability, cause demonic outbursts. I'm not a preacher. I'm an angel of vengeance. I'm not making deals with you. I'm telling you your future. I'm telling you the truth of today. I'm telling you the truth of yesterday. There's power in them words. Right. Somebody said billions have lost money. Yes. Blame me? No, blame yourselves. I took your markets up. Regardless how it happened, I said it, your markets went up. So in fact, I made that money for you. All the healing work I did eventually takes and you go up. But turn it around and use it against the people, I'll curse you, and eventually that'll take and your money will go back down. There's no end in sight. Recession's coming. What is that going to do? It'll probably make my life a little more comfortable because there's not as much money to pay people to corruptly affect my life or the lives of the other people. It will also probably drop the price of housing down so low, I'll be finding places pretty easy because nobody's going to be renting. Or if they rent, it'll be, 3-to-1 apartment versus where it was 1-to-1 apartment before. Now, I should actually have a house. They came against that. They would say, well, if you push through, only criminals don't push through. It's a scam. There's no way to push through. Because once I push through, then they grab more of their funds and spend or bribe another person, extort another person, then bribe them to do what they want. So again, you don't have $1 million house not because you can't get it. It's there. God put it there for you. But of course, the house wouldn't be $1 million house. So what does that mean? All of the properties would move forward. Something would come up. Like in times of plenty, things like the home electronics and devices, that all, the systems, the electronic systems in the homes, that advanced. But then they went dirty. And now it's kind of stagnating. Elon Musk is scratching his head trying to figure out how to find something for his cars, his electric vehicles, to really rock the world. But he can't get to it. Why? Because of evil. It's all sitting there. I told you there's a power plant somewhere that you don't even have to plug it in. It'll regenerate. And then it's not nuclear. But it's similar to it. It would have that regenerate power. Although I think it's different. I think it's more of a storage, using it up, and as you're using it up, it regenerates by that movement. I brought up using wind power in vehicles years ago as a way, like a gyro, to or a turbine, should I say, to generate some additional. So again, there's things along that line, but it involves the invention of something. I believe it's a coil. And I knew nothing about Tesla. I didn't know Tesla was some guy. I just thought it was some name that I didn't even know Elon Musk exists. I just knew it was an electric vehicle named Tesla. There's no way I could live in one, or not live in one of those. I guess that's what they want. But there's no way I could own one. Number one, I don't have the money. Number two, if I could afford it, there's no way I have a life that allows me to plug it in. But again, that could be Satan trying to restrict people. And they'll say, well, we're trying. Well, this is kind of weird. Let's pop down. I don't know why. But my volume control dropped. Restricting people in that they have to plug in, and it's a lot harder to do that than go to a gas station and pump some gas for a few dollars. But what I believe is going to happen, I brought it up before, is we will develop an electrical fast charge system You drive in, fast charges it, and then you're out. Now, the question is whether the Earth lasts much more than that. There's a lot of atmospheric change. They'll tell you, well, this always happens. Not exactly like it's happening now, and they know that. And just because it happened in history doesn't mean that it was okay. I mean, cataclysmic things occurred. The extinction of the dinosaurs during climate uh, insanity, I guess you could call it. Now, is there a way to stop it? Yeah, stop hating on people. Did you go too far and we can't reverse it? Quite possibly. There are no assurances. What happens is Satan gives them enough assurances in life that they believe that they can walk down the street in San Francisco and be safe. Now, it's not about politics because there are, but yes, it is. Republicans are cursing San Francisco and psychologically operating San Francisco to fail. First off, those are poor people that have to be fed. And I know you want to make Soylent Green out of them and make money off it, but that's not where we're going to go with it, and you can't go with it. The reason they don't want health care for people is the same reason that they mess with my health care. They know as criminal spies working for Satan, because they're using spycraft technology, that's what we call it. Psychological warfare, prisoner of war camp technology, in open community. It used to be called Project Artichoke in its infancy. And it doesn't have to be government. In fact, it's too big to only be government. But they know that they have to fight a person's health care or they can't kill them as easy and may not be able to kill them at all until they're older and then they die. They go, oh, it was old age. Well, the person would have lived another 20 years had you not done that. I mean, we look at the people that have money, they're living quite great lives. And a lot of them are on growth hormone and things such as that. But you can't get to it because they don't want you to get to it. Growth hormone will make you muscular. If you don't go crazy on it, it'll just make you, a muscular person and very lean. That's how a lot of stars do that. When they go in for one of those roles, they just take some growth hormone for a while, a little bit of testosterone, and then they look like Hercules, or close enough for Hollywood. So that's what's going on, and that's what's blocking it. How you doing? So healthcare would be there for all for reality. Obama couldn't manifest it because he had things coming against him, but yet he wasn't free enough. He had personal things that he desired over that universal health care. And that's where the newer people are moving in. They're a little bit different. God says, and probably I did, you have to understand how I am as far as in the mind. And I brought it up. Say that because I have to, for me, I have to allow, and again, it's just like God, I allow them to be who they need to be. So I give them enough basis to launch themselves into a relationship with God and a relationship with their own self, quite frankly. Now, this thing keeps bumping down, so I might be missing a beat here somewhere. I don't know. So the idea is, my spirit was moved by God because again, what I say sometimes works, especially if you forget to curse it. And we can do things to make you forget to curse it. We being the heavenly host, because that's what it was called on this planet. But we raised these kids to be independent thinkers. Now, some became independent thinkers, but that's built into the equation of Earth. So there's things that they're doing, the millennials, and maybe even a little back further, because people people will actually be part of the early changes that bring on that larger change. No, I can tell when they start doing their stuff. I start okay. Well, the idea is this: capitalism is great if what? If a devil isn't running it. Actually, you know what? If you had the most charitable king in the world, that charitable king could run a monarchy, and everybody would be happy. On this planet, I don't even know if you could do that. They would probably, in fact, they would kill the king before the king ever got there. Q clue. How y'all doing? So again, their minds are wired to troubleshoot the issue that you all created with Satan. That's all the Bibles actually do that, all the way through. So if you're going to cause the lifestyle to exist that you condemn, God will usher in that lifestyle as acceptable to the Lord. There was the original plan, and that stays, but doesn't need to be spoken about every day. In fact, Paul admonished people when they were beginning to lord over people and require them to be cookie cutters of one another. Now, Paul went through a progression of mind. Oh, progressive, he's a liberal. You got a word that Satan has come against the word progression. You have to use the word progression. Otherwise, nothing would exist. We would still be in Genesis. Oh, that's what they're trying to do because Satan was successful in the garden. So technology increased in the Bible to accept others and to look at yourself more so than the others. And to do what? To care for your neighbor as much as you care for yourself, or even greater, because that is the progressive instructions of Rabbi Jesus. Greater work shall you do, not regressive, self-serving, rich man and rich woman works. Jesus never said that. He said, greater work shall you do. So what's that? Jesus is not a miser. Jesus was not a controlling miser like we have, quote unquote, running the world today. Even our churches, even our synagogues, even our gurdwaras, even our mosques, temples, so on and so forth. So we have young people that, whether it fails or succeeds, they're going to fight the scam that you all created, because this is not capitalism. It's cronyism. It's not even close to capitalism. In fact, there are people in the Republican Party that want the economy to fail because a Democrat is in office, a Democratic Party person is running the nation. But more so, they want your life to fail because you put them in. But I don't believe they'll be able to pull us out of it. I don't think Republicans have it. I was part of what pulled us out, and I was moving the powers of God, because the idea was we were going to give the people of color real capitalism. What Trump brought was cronyism. He said, you will have money. You will have money. In fact, to get money, take out those people over there. And my super PAC will send you $100,000, do some $5,000 worth of work, and then you'll have yourself this $95,000 to work off and destroying your neighbor. Again, antichrist, anti-God, anti-Krishna, anti-anything you want to say about religion or a name of God. Well, it's 30 minutes here, and I think this is where I'm going to at least stop for now. I'll probably come back out and do some more. I don't know how the wind has affected this. Hopefully it sounds well enough. Stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.
You're listening to the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.